What's up, everybody? This is Jesse at Evolution Lures. I want to show you today a couple of ways to rig the FlyBoy. We've had multiple requests on how to do this, and yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to rig them, but I'm going to show you a couple of ways that I've had a lot of success with. So the first thing you want, I found 80-pound test is nice. Obviously, it depends on where you're fishing, how many wahoo are around. But if you're just dragging for Dorado or mahi, you're gonna need a lighter line class generally. Found 80's nice. You can go up to 150, 200, obviously. And I use down in the Keys, I like to use like a 7.0 long shank J hook. This is a Mustad. So yeah, basically, all you want to do is take your, I have a couple of double barrel 1.0 crimps here. I don't know if you can see this. Essentially, I'm going to put this 8.0 right through the double barrel crimp, and it should be a smooth fit. So now I like to take a loop protector. This just helps protect the chafing after a long period of time. If you want last thing you want is a fish to cut you off, because there's a lot of rubbing that goes on right here between the loop of the hook, the eye of the hook, and the loop. So I put this on to really help it protect it. This is just a 1 millimeter silicone tubing. You can get it on Amazon, but a lot of different companies sell different versions of it. So one critical thing when you're making your setup, you want to take a lighter, and you just light the end of your line there. Take the side of the lighter and tap it in. I don't know if you can see that, but what you end up with is a little kind of a mushroom at the end. And this will really, believe it or not, it's really critical if you have a bad crimp, or it just gives you that extra strength when you're out there and a big fish comes on, or let's say you accidentally crimp poorly and you don't realize it. So anyway, we take the smallest notch in the crimper here, just crimp that down, and I like to leave just a little bit. Like, I don't want to go off the end of the double barrel crimp. You just leave a little bit of space right off the end there on both ends. And what this does, it allows the line to move a little more freely at the ends without the potential for that crimp to cut the line. So now here's where it gets a little bit different for different people more. I mean, obviously, look, you could put this right into the lure and drag it just like that, and it will work. I'll just show you what that looks like real quick. So what you end up with is a hook that's in a way sort of weedless, because it's sitting right up inside of the lure. You can see here, it's sitting inside the lure. Now what will happen is as you're dragging that, eventually there is always the potential for one of these little rubber legs to snag on the tip of that hook, and that will prevent you from catching a fish. I've had it happen. So if you really want the lure to run a little bit nicer and you're not going to run a ballyhoo on it, you can use beads. I've got these little beads. You can get them at a craft store. Also, you can use these tri beads. They're just like a little triangle shape. I like these bigger ones because you need less of them. You can get creative with the colors, obviously. And what you're trying to achieve is you want this hook to be sticking straight out of the back more. So you want just the tip of the hook to clear flush with the back. So what happens, the back of the skirt. So what happens is, as this moves, not only does it kind of look like a little small tail flash coming out of the back of the skirt, it'll never get hung up. But honestly, it also makes the lure track better. So one thing we don't have on our website yet, we're about to put them up, that we've been testing that work really great, is these They're basically a hook extender, and it makes a stiff rig out of a simple rig like this. And I'll show you how it works. If anybody wants to try them, please just hit us up on the chat on the website if you don't see them as a product. So what happens is you just slide this in there like this, and it gives you a little bit of freedom. You know, the hook will still move, but it's nice and stiff inside of there between this distance and this distance. And you can cut these to be whatever length you want. Actually, in this case, we'll put one tri-bead on, one of these larger beads on, and then just put it in. It just depends on the length of the FlyBoy. You can cut them down or leave them long like this. But so essentially now what you end up with is the hooks coming out of the back of the FlyBoy, and it just makes a nice distance. And you can adjust this to be exactly where you want it. Once you have it where you like it, you just go ahead, you take obviously another crimp, another protector, you put that on the end, crimp it down, make the loop. I'm not going to show you guys that because 99% of you probably already know how to do it. So yeah, that's the general idea. If you're gonna run a ballyhoo, obviously the setup, you can leave this this extender and the beads off, and then just put some copper on. Or they make the I've seen these copper nose, like they're like a spring nose cone. You can do it like, if you look on YouTube, it's called a pin rig. You can do pin rigs with these, which is basically just a little piece of metal that sticks up where you can, you know, put the ballyhoo chin on there. These FlyBoys don't need any extra weight. They'll skip around on top, and the wings are super flexible. They're more durable than most of the Mylar wings that you see out there. And they have, on the back side, they have this sort of holographic flash pattern embedded in them. And that's the general idea. Only thing I would say is if you are in a high speed, you know, you're pulling them high speed, you can add, I would say up to a ½ ounce more weight. But as is, if you're just pulling weed lines and stuff like that with these, they're great for just throw them in the water and go. Thank you.